My sister flooded the house. My mill gave us, after we refused to hand it over to her, then posted online that it was karma. She expected sympathy. Instead, cameras caught everything, and she walked out of court owing thousands and banned for life. Hey Reddit, my family has always treated my sister like royalty and me like the built-in backup plan. I finally drew a line, built my own life, and thought I was free. Turns out, they had other ideas. Before we get there, let me take you back to where this all started. My name is Kyle, and I married Daisy 8 months ago. Her family comes from old money. Her mother Victoria makes million-dollar decisions before lunch and never needs to raise her voice. My family is solidly middle class. Dad Frank works in insurance sales, Mom Linda is a school secretary, and my younger sister Jenna never faced consequences for anything. I was the one who got good grades and worked my way through college. Jenna was the fun one. I work as a commercial real estate appraiser. Good money, steady work, built my career from scratch. When Daisy and I got engaged, Victoria treated me like family immediately. No tests, no proving myself. Just respect from day one. The wedding was at Victoria's estate. About 100 guests. Everything we wanted. During the reception, Victoria pulled us aside and handed us keys and an envelope. Inside were documents for a Victorian house in the historic district. 3 bedrooms, original hardwood floors, stained glass windows, wraparound porch. The kind of place worth about $680,000 that you dream about but never think you'll actually get. I tried to refuse. Victoria shut that down immediately. Every couple needs a proper home to start their marriage. The property stays within the family trust, but you have full lifetime use rights and control. Think of it as yours in every way that matters. Consider it an investment in your future. Daisy and I had been saving for 4 years just to afford a down payment on some basic starter house. This changed everything. My parents seemed genuinely happy at the reception. Mom kept gushing about how blessed we were. Dad shook Victoria's hand so many times it got awkward. Jenna was maid of honor and seemed excited, though she asked way too many specific questions about property values and square footage. For 2 weeks, life was perfect. We honeymooned in Greece, came home to our house that Victoria had professionally cleaned and partially furnished. We spent evenings planning our future, talking about kids someday, all the normal newlywed stuff. Then Mom called. We need to talk. Your father and I are coming over. We're bringing Jenna. That tone. I knew immediately something was wrong. When? I asked. Tonight. We'll be there in an hour. They showed up like they were walking into an intervention. All 3 of them. Weird energy. Like they'd rehearsed something. Frank sat down heavily. We've been thinking about your situation here. What situation? Jenna jumped in. This house. She gestured around like she was already measuring for furniture. It's really nice. Really, really nice. Thanks, Daisy said flatly. Linda leaned forward with that concerned mother look I recognized from childhood. Jenna's lease is up next month, and she's having trouble finding something she can afford. My stomach dropped. I knew exactly where this was headed. The thing is, Frank continued, Jenna really needs a place to live, and you two have this big house. It seems like the obvious solution. Daisy spoke before I could. We can help her look for an apartment, but this is our home. Jenna's eyes went cold. See? That's exactly the attitude. Some people get everything handed to them and suddenly think they're better than everyone. I felt my jaw tighten. Jenna, you're out of line. Linda cut me off. Give this house to your sister immediately. She needs it more than you selfish people do. Some ungrateful people just don't deserve nice things from others. The words hit like a punch to the gut. For a second, I felt it. That old conditioning. The voice in my head that said, be reasonable. That said family comes first. That said maybe they had a point. I'd spent my whole childhood being the responsible one. The one who made sacrifices. The one who did the right thing. And for just a moment, I almost apologized. Then I looked at Daisy, saw the disbelief in her eyes, remembered Victoria's kindness, thought about the home we'd been building together. I actually laughed. It wasn't a friendly laugh. You're serious right now? Frank nodded like this was the most reasonable thing in the world. Real family members help each other out. Jenna's struggling, and you're sitting pretty in a house you didn't even work for. Jenna smirked. Stop being a nuisance and just do as we say. It's not like you earned this. Your rich mother-in-law handed it to you on a silver platter. Daisy stood up. With all due respect, which at this point is none, my mother gave this house to us. Not to you, not to your daughter. To us, as a wedding gift, which means it's not up for discussion. Linda's face went red. So now you think you're too good for family? No, I said calmly. I think you're delusional if you believe we're handing over a $680,000 house because Jenna can't be bothered to work full-time. She works hard, Frank snapped. She works part-time at a boutique by choice, I shot back. She turned down a management position last month because it would interfere with her social life. Don't you dare judge my choices, Jenna said. I'm not judging. I'm stating facts. You don't get to coast through life and then demand I solve your problems. For 2 hours, they kept pushing. Every manipulation tactic in the book. Accusations of selfishness, threats to cut contact, reminders of every sacrifice they'd supposedly made for me. Jenna sat there with that entitled expression, occasionally adding comments about how she'd redecorate. Finally, Daisy had enough. Get out. Linda looked shocked. Excuse me? You heard her, I said. Get out of our house. Now. Frank started to argue. Daisy walked to the door and opened it. Leave. Before I call the police and have you escorted off property that doesn't belong to you. Jenna actually laughed. Fine. But don't come crying to us when your fancy new family gets tired of you and kicks you to the curb. That was the last straw. I stood up and looked at all three of them. Let me make something crystal clear. You will never step foot in this house again. You will never contact us about this house again. And if you try, you'll find out exactly how fast I can make your lives very uncomfortable. Now get out. After they left, Daisy looked at me. You okay? Yeah, I said. But this isn't over. She nodded. I know. And they launched a full harassment campaign within 24 hours. Calls before 7 in the morning, texts past midnight, guilt trips nonstop. Linda sent messages about Jenna, crying herself to sleep. Frank warned I was choosing consequences. And Jenna spammed screenshots of overpriced studios with captions about suffering while I lived in a mansion. Social media turned into a battlefield. Jenna posted quotes about fake family, photos of cramped apartments, polls about whether money changes people. Her friends piled on. At church, Linda painted herself as the devastated mother with an ungrateful son. Frank visited my office twice, trying to convince my boss I was unstable. They twisted everything, claiming I'd married for money, forgotten my roots, abandoned my sister. Not a word about demanding my house or calling us selfish. Daisy stayed calm. They're escalating. Document everything. So we built a folder. Screenshots, voicemails, texts, posts. The pattern was undeniable. Then the extended family joined in. Denise called crying about how I'd changed. Greg left angry voicemails. Cousins I barely knew lectured me about morality. Every conversation followed the same script. Disappointment, guilt, then anger when I wouldn't cave. The breaking point came 2 weeks in, when Jenna marched into my workplace like she owned the building. We need to talk, she announced, voice carrying across the open floor plan. Jenna, this is my workplace. You need to leave. Oh, so now you're too important to talk to your own sister? She crossed her arms and planted herself in one of the waiting chairs. Fine, I'll sit here until you're ready to have an adult conversation. My boss walked out of his office looking concerned. Everything all right here? Jenna jumped in before I could respond. Actually, I was hoping to speak with you about my brother's situation. He's been having some family issues that are affecting his judgment. I felt my stomach drop. Jenna, leave now. Did you know his new family gave him a house worth almost $700,000? She said it loud enough for everyone in the office to hear clearly. Just handed it to him like it was nothing. And now he's refusing to help his own sister who's about to be homeless because he thinks he's too good for the family that raised him. I'm worried about his mental state. I could see my coworkers pretending not to stare. See the receptionist's eyes go wide. See clients in the waiting area exchanging uncomfortable glances. My professional reputation was being destroyed in real time. My boss cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. Miss, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is a place of business, not appropriate for family discussions. Jenna's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing pure calculation underneath the concerned sister act. Of course. Everyone always takes his side. Poor little golden boy Kyle, who can do no wrong. I hope you're proud of yourself, big brother. I hope it's worth it. She left. The office stayed silent for about 10 seconds. Then the whispers started. I spent the rest of the day fielding awkward questions and trying to salvage what I could. My boss pulled me aside at 4. Kyle, I understand family situations can be complicated and messy, but you need to keep your personal life from affecting the workplace environment going forward. If this happens again, we'll need to have a much more serious conversation about your position here. It was a warning, a direct professional consequence for something that wasn't even my fault, orchestrated entirely by my sister's manipulation. When I got home that evening, Daisy was waiting in the kitchen. She took one look at my face and knew. They came to my workplace, I told her. Jenna showed up during business hours and told my boss and half my office that I got handed almost $700,000 and won't help my own sister. Made me look like some entitled rich kid who abandoned his family. My boss warned me about keeping personal issues out of the office. I sat down heavily at the kitchen table. And you know what the worst part is? For about 5 seconds after she left, after everyone was staring at me, I wondered if they were right. If maybe I was being selfish. If maybe I should just let Jenna move in temporarily and end all this chaos. Daisy sat across from me and was quiet for a long moment. And what did you decide? I looked at her. I decided they had their chance to be happy for us. They could have celebrated our wedding, our house, our future together. They chose to be resentful instead. They chose to make demands. They chose to launch this campaign of harassment. That's on them, not us. They made their choice. She nodded slowly. You're absolutely sure? Because once we involve my mother, once we escalate back, there's no going back. This becomes a war. I'm sure. I stood up. I'm done being the reasonable one. I'm done trying to make peace with people who see my happiness as their opportunity. Call your mother. That Saturday, Linda called sounding distressed. Your father's been having stress headaches. The doctor says he needs to reduce stress. And you know what's been weighing on his mind? Classic manipulation. If Dad's stressed, that's between him and his doctor. He needs his son to stop being selfish and help his family. Do you want your father to make himself sick over this? It worked enough that I agreed to meet them for dinner. Daisy said she was coming with me. Not negotiable. The dinner was at their house. When we walked in, it was an ambush. Mom, Dad, Jenna, and even Jenna's friend Taylor were there, all looking at us with expressions ranging from disappointment to hostility. We've been thinking about a compromise, Frank began. He had that reasonable tone he used when he was about to say something completely unreasonable. A practical solution that benefits everyone. I'm listening, I said. What if Jenna moved in with you? Linda asked, her voice already cracking with emotion. Just temporarily until she gets back on her feet. We're not asking for charity, just family helping family through a rough patch. Jenna jumped in with that entitled edge. I could take the third bedroom. I wouldn't be in your way. I'd even help with utilities. Though honestly, with a house that size, you probably wouldn't even notice I was there. Daisy laughed. It was sharp, cold. No. Everyone looked at her. Let me be clearer, Daisy continued. Absolutely not. Not temporarily, not permanently, not ever. That house was a gift from my mother to us. Not to your entitled daughter who thinks the world owes her something. Linda's face went red. Her voice went higher. How dare you speak about my daughter that way? After everything we've done for this family, after all the sacrifices we've made. Sacrifices? I cut in. What sacrifices? Being decent parents? That's called doing your job. Frank cut in with that cold, logic voice. Let's look at this objectively. You have 3 bedrooms, 2 people. That's inefficient use of space. Jenna needs housing. The math is simple. The moral choice is obvious. Jenna smirked. Plus, let's be real. It's not like you two earned that house. Your mommy gave it to you because she's loaded. Some of us actually have to work for what we get. You're right, I said calmly. Then why don't you work hard enough to get your own place? The room went silent. Frank found his voice. This is exactly the problem. You both think you're better than us. Superior because you have money now. Linda was crying now, the full martyrdom display. I can't believe my own son would let his wife disrespect us like this. After everything we sacrificed to raise you right, Daisy leaned forward. Her voice was quiet and controlled. You don't get to insult my husband and ask for his house in the same breath. That's not how respect works. That's not how family works. And frankly, you've shown us exactly what kind of family you are. Jenna stood up. You know what? You're both selfish. You got lucky and now you think you deserve it. We don't think we deserve it, I said. We're just not stupid enough to give it away because you threw a tantrum. Linda started crying harder. I can't believe my own son would choose money over family. I stood up slowly. Let me make something very clear. I didn't choose money. I chose my wife. I chose my marriage. I chose the life we're building together. You're the ones who decided that wasn't good enough. You're the ones who made demands instead of offering congratulations. You're the ones who weaponized family against respect. I looked at each of them. Here's what happens next. If you keep pushing, you'll find out that boundaries aren't suggestions. They're consequences waiting to happen. That's the only choice I'm giving you. We left after that. Daisy drove because I was too angry to focus. The ride home was quiet for the first 10 minutes. Then Daisy spoke. They're not going to stop. I know. They're going to keep escalating until something breaks. You're ready for that? Yeah, I said. I'm ready. My cousin Rachel called. I need to tell you something about Jenna. She's been telling people she's moving into a house next month. Not that she's hoping to, That she's definitely getting it. She's even been using your address for mail and contacted contractors about renovations. My blood went cold. You're sure? Positive. She showed me pictures of your house and said it was going to be hers. She's also been telling potential roommates they can move in by next month. She's charging them deposits. Jesus Christ. That's not even the worst part. Your parents have been in on it from the beginning. They were planning to move in too. Frank was talking about early retirement. Linda wanted to quit her job. They saw your marriage as their ticket out. I hung up and told Daisy everything. Her expression went ice cold. I'm calling my mother. Right now. Victoria arrived 2 hours later. We laid out everything. The demands, the harassment, the workplace ambush, Jenna collecting deposits from roommates for a house she didn't own. Victoria listened in complete silence. When we finished, she was quiet for a long moment. So your family believes they have some claim to property I own? Apparently, I said. How interesting. She pulled out her phone and made a call. Yes, this is Victoria Coleman. I need to schedule lunch at Willowbrook. Tomorrow. Guest list will be Mr. Frank Cooper, Mrs. Linda Cooper, and their daughter Jenna. Yes, as my guests. Thank you. She hung up and looked at us. I'm handling this. Both of you will be there to witness it, but I'll do the talking. The country club had leather chairs, crystal chandeliers, and oil paintings. Linda had dressed up. Frank looked uncomfortable in a tie. Jenna looked excited. Victoria was the perfect hostess. Ordered drinks, made small talk, complimented Linda's outfit. Then she got to business. I understand there's been some confusion about the house I gifted to Kyle and Daisy. Linda's fork paused. Oh, well, we were just discussing family helping family. Of course, family is important. That's why I wanted to clear things up personally. Jenna leaned forward. Mrs. Coleman, I hope Kyle explained I'm in a tough spot. That house has 3 bedrooms, and there's only 2 of them. Victoria smiled. How thoughtful of you to be concerned about space efficiency. Tell me about your current situation. Jenna explained about her studio apartment, how expensive it was, how the lease was ending. I see. And your profession? I work at a boutique downtown. Very exclusive. Full-time? Jenna's face went pink. Part-time currently, but you turned down a management position there recently, correct? The temperature dropped. Jenna shot me a look. Victoria continued smoothly. Kyle tells me many things. We've become quite close. He also mentioned you believe you should have the house I gifted to him and Daisy for their wedding. Dead silence. Frank cleared his throat. Mrs. Coleman, there might be some misunderstanding. I don't think so. You believe that because I gave my daughter and son-in-law a house, your daughter somehow deserves it instead. Linda's face went red. We just thought since Jenna's struggling. Victoria set down her fork with precision. Your daughter works part-time by choice, turned down a promotion, and has been collecting deposits from potential roommates for a house she doesn't own. Jenna went white. Did you really think you could make claims on property I own without me finding out? Victoria opened a folder and pulled out documents. Let me explain something. While I gifted the house to Kyle and Daisy, it remains under family trust oversight. They have full rights to live there, but certain protections exist. She spread papers across the table. This is the trust documentation. This is the deed with provisions. And this is a cease and desist letter from my attorney to Jenna, demanding she stop representing herself as having any claim to the property. Jenna's mouth opened and closed. Furthermore, Victoria continued, after we heard you'd been on the property speaking to contractors about unauthorized work, I installed security cameras. You came back, multiple times. The footage is quite clear. Frank found his voice. You can't do this. I can do exactly this, and I will. Victoria leaned back. Let me be very clear. The house stays with Kyle and Daisy. Jenna will not be moving in, visiting, or having any contact with the property. Any further harassment will result in restraining orders. Linda started crying. You don't understand what it's like. I understand perfectly. You raised a daughter who believes she's entitled to things she hasn't earned. And when my family wouldn't enable that delusion, you launched a harassment campaign. That ends now. She stood up. Lunch is over. I suggest you use this time to reflect on what family actually means. As we walked out, Jenna hissed, This is all Kyle's fault. Victoria stopped. Without turning around, loud enough for nearby tables to hear, No, dear, you did this to yourselves. For 2 weeks after the country club takedown, things were quiet. Too quiet. I thought maybe Victoria's dismantling had worked. It started with a new wave of family calls, but the tone had shifted. These weren't guilt trips anymore. These were threats barely disguised as concern. Uncle Greg called saying I'd made a serious mistake embarrassing my parents in public at that club, and that some mistakes can't be taken back. Aunt Denise called crying about how the family would never forgive us for what we'd done, how we'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Cousins I hadn't spoken to since high school suddenly had very strong opinions about respecting your elders and honoring family loyalty above all else. The messages got darker, more aggressive, less about Jenna needing help and more about us needing to face consequences. Then Frank showed up at my office again. This time he didn't try to get inside or talk to my boss. He waited in the parking lot until I came out at the end of the day, just standing there next to his car, watching the entrance. "Kyle," he said when he saw me, "we need to talk about what happened at that club." "There's nothing to discuss," I said, keeping my distance. Victoria made everything very clear. "You turned your mother-in-law against us, made us look like fools in front of those people, made your mother cry in public. That has consequences. The only consequences here are the ones you people earned yourselves," I said. "Now get off this property before I call security." He left without another word. That night, Daisy showed me Jenna's latest social media activity. She'd posted a poll about family members abandoning struggling relatives. The comments agreed that karma catches up. The follow-up comment bothered me. Sometimes karma needs a little push. Sometimes people need to be reminded what really matters in life. Then my cousin Rachel called with information that turned my blood cold. "You need to know what Jenna's been saying," Rachel told me, her voice urgent. "She's telling people she already has roommates lined up for next month. She's been showing people photos of your house and saying it's going to be hers. She's collected deposits from at least 3 people. She's still collecting money, even after the cease and desist letter. Not just collecting money. She's telling people it's a done deal, that you and Daisy are going to come around eventually, or that something's going to happen that changes the situation in her favor. She keeps talking about karma and reality checks, and how sometimes bad things have to happen before people learn important lessons." "What the hell does that mean?" "I don't know," Rachel said. "But Kyle, she sounds completely unhinged. Like she's genuinely convinced herself this house is already hers somehow. Like she's just waiting for something specific to happen. It's creepy." After I hung up, I told Daisy everything. She called Victoria immediately. "We need to increase security," Victoria said. "I'm having my team install additional cameras tomorrow. Every angle, every entrance. And I'm arranging for regular drive-bys. If your sister comes near that property again, I want evidence." "You really think they'll actually try something?" I asked. "I think desperate people do unpredictable things. Better to be prepared." For 3 more weeks, nothing happened. The security drive-bys showed no unusual activity. The cameras caught nothing beyond neighbors walking dogs and delivery drivers. Work went back to normal. Life settled into a routine. We almost let ourselves relax. Almost convinced ourselves the worst was over. Then Daisy's father called with an invitation to his cabin upstate for a long weekend, a chance to decompress and get away from the family drama. We left on a Friday evening. The house was locked up tight, security system armed, cameras recording. We'd be back Sunday evening. Everything would be fine. We got back Sunday evening around 8. The street was quiet, normal. Everything looked fine from outside. I unlocked the front door and immediately knew something was wrong. The smell hit first. Damp, musty, wrong. Then I saw the floor. The beautiful original hardwood was warped, buckling in places. Water stains everywhere. "Daisy," I said quietly, "don't come in yet." But she was already beside me. Oh my God. We walked through the first floor in complete shock. The living room ceiling had partially collapsed. Water damage across every wall. The stained glass windows were intact, but the wooden frames were swollen and rotting. The kitchen floor was completely destroyed. Tiles cracked and lifted. Our furniture was soaked and ruined. Photos we'd framed from our wedding were water-stained and warped. Keepsakes from our honeymoon destroyed. The dining room was the worst. The ceiling had caved in completely. Chunks of plaster and drywall across the antique table that had been Victoria's grandmother's. Water still dripping from somewhere above. The walls were stained and bulging. Daisy was shaking. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. This was deliberate. I pulled out my phone and called Victoria. Then the police. Then our insurance. Victoria arrived first, about 20 minutes later. She had her head of security with her, Marcus. They walked through the damage in silence, Marcus taking photos and notes. "How bad?" I asked. Marcus answered, "Structural damage. Water's been running for at least 36 hours, maybe longer. This wasn't a burst pipe or failed water heater. Someone did this deliberately." "How can you tell?" He pointed to the basement door. We'd walked right past it in our shock. "Forced entry. Lock's been jimmied. And the water damage pattern is wrong for an accident. This was sabotage." "How did they get in without triggering the alarm?" I asked. Marcus examined the doorframe. This is an older exterior basement entrance. The main system covers windows and primary doors, but this wasn't on the sensor loop yet. We were scheduled to upgrade it next month. Victoria pulled out her phone and made a call. Yes, I need you at the property immediately. Bring the footage from all cameras, last 72 hours. Yes, the Coleman Trust property. Thank you. She hung up. My attorney is on her way. Police first, then my insurance investigator in the morning. Don't touch anything else. This is a crime scene now. The police arrived within 30 minutes. They documented everything, took statements, photographed the forced entry. One officer looked at the damage and shook his head. This wasn't random. Whoever did this had a plan. The insurance investigator arrived early the next morning. He photographed everything, documented the forced basement door, took notes on the damage patterns. Then Marcus returned with a laptop. He pulled up the camera footage, and we all watched. Jenna's car appeared on the front camera at 1:53 a.m. Saturday morning. She sat there for 8 minutes, just sitting in the car, staring at the house. Then she drove away. That's not proof, the investigator said. But it's very interesting timing. There's more, Marcus said. He pulled up another camera angle. Back camera caught someone moving along the side of the house toward the basement entrance at 2:14 a.m. Too dark to see a face, but the build and gate match your sister from other footage we have. The investigator leaned forward. The security company can confirm the basement entrance was breached between 2 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. Saturday. Still circumstantial, the attorney said, but building a pattern. Then my phone rang. Rachel. Kyle, I need to tell you something right now. Jenna called me yesterday, drunk and bragging. She said, and I'm quoting, "Sometimes karma needs a push. Sometimes people need a reality check about what they really have." I put her on speaker. Everyone listened. Did she say anything specific about what she did? The investigator asked. She said she'd handled things, that Kyle and Daisy would understand soon what really matters, that material things are temporary. She was laughing about it. The investigator made notes. Then he looked up. Do you have that conversation saved? I recorded it, Rachel said. I thought it sounded weird, so I started recording mid-conversation. I'll send it now. The investigator's expression changed. Then there's one more thing, Daisy said. She pulled up Jenna's social media on her phone. Look at this, a post from 3:47 a.m. Saturday morning, just hours after the camera footage. Some people don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. Maybe a little reality check will help them remember what's actually important. The investigator took screenshots. His whole demeanor had shifted. This isn't circumstantial anymore. This is a pattern of evidence. The post, the audio confession to a family member, the camera footage, the forced entry. I'm recommending full criminal investigation. He looked at us. I'm very sorry this happened, but whoever did this made several mistakes. And that means consequences. The police got involved within hours once they reviewed all the evidence. The detective who took our statement had seen cases like this before, family disputes that escalated into property crimes. The evidence package was overwhelming. Each piece alone was circumstantial. Together, they were damning. The detective called 2 days later. We're filing charges. Felony property damage with evidence of premeditation. Given the property value and the extent of damage, this is serious. How serious? I asked. If convicted, 2 to 5 years potentially. But most cases like this plea out. The evidence is strong enough that her attorney will recommend a deal. Victoria's attorney moved just as fast. She filed for restraining orders against all 3 of them. Jenna for the crime itself, Frank and Linda for enabling and encouraging the behavior pattern, their names on those contractor calls, their continued harassment even after legal warnings. The insurance estimated damages at $220,000 for repairs. That covered structural work, water damage remediation, complete floor replacement, ceiling reconstruction, electrical inspection, mold prevention. The trust property meant Victoria's commercial insurance would handle most of it, but the deductible was $35,000. Victoria paid it without hesitation. This is what family does, she said simply. Protects each other. The repairs took 4 months. 4 months of living in a corporate rental that Victoria arranged. 4 months of watching our home get rebuilt. 4 months of dealing with investigators, insurance adjusters, contractors, and legal proceedings. Frank and Linda tried to call once, 2 weeks after the charges were filed. Victoria's attorney shut that down with an updated cease and desist that included clauses about third-party contact and social media monitoring. When they tried to reach out through extended family, those relatives received similar letters. Jenna fought the charges for about 3 weeks. Then her public defender sat down with her and showed her the evidence file, the camera timestamps, the audio recording, the social media post, the forced entry, the pattern of harassment and entitlement. He told her the DA had a 97% conviction rate on cases this solid, that if she went to trial and lost, she'd face maximum sentencing, that the plea offer on the table was as good as it would get. She took the plea. Probation, restitution, permanent restraining order. The alternative was trial and probable jail time. The restitution amount was $47,000. Her share of what insurance didn't cover plus legal fees. The payment plan would take her 7 years minimum. We didn't attend the plea hearing. Our attorney represented us, but I read the transcript later. Jenna had to allocute, which meant she had to admit in open court exactly what she'd done and why. Had to say the words that she'd deliberately damaged our property because she felt entitled to it. The judge asked if she understood that her actions constituted a serious crime, regardless of her feelings about fairness. She said yes. The judge asked if she understood that restitution and probation were a gift compared to what she deserved. She said yes. Jenna's restraining order was made permanent. 500 feet minimum distance. No contact, direct or indirect. Violation meant immediate arrest. Frank and Linda received formal cease and desist orders with harassment clauses. Any pattern of contact, any attempt to coordinate through third parties, any violation of the terms would result in their own restraining orders. 4 months after we moved back in, Victoria had the trust restructured with additional protections. If anything happened to her, the property couldn't be transferred outside the immediate family, couldn't be sold without unanimous agreement, couldn't be encumbered or leveraged. She also upgraded our security system. Commercial grade, motion sensors, glass break detectors, cellular backup, direct line to a monitoring service. Our address was unlisted. Property records showed only the trust name, not our personal information. "This is yours now," Victoria said as she walked through the restored home. "Truly yours. No one can take it. No one can claim it. It's protected legally and physically." She looked at both of us. "I'm sorry you had to learn what your family was capable of, but I'm not sorry you learned it. Better to know who people are before you waste decades trying to maintain relationships with people who don't value you." 6 months after moving back in, I was at the grocery store picking up supplies for dinner. Just a normal Tuesday evening. I turned down the produce aisle and froze. Frank was standing by the apples. He looked older, tired, gray hair where there hadn't been gray before. He saw me at the same moment and went completely still. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. Then he walked over slowly. "Kyle," he said quietly. "Frank." He looked down at his cart. "Your mother and I are separated. Have been for 3 months. Jenna's working 2 jobs to pay off the restitution. She'll be paying it for years. Everything fell apart after what happened. I didn't respond. I just waited. We thought we were entitled to something," he continued, "because we raised you. Because you got lucky and we didn't. Because life wasn't fair and someone needed to even things out. We convinced ourselves it was about helping Jenna. But really, it was about us feeling cheated." His voice was rough. "We lost everything trying to take what was yours. Lost you. Lost our dignity. Linda and I can't even look at each other anymore. I'm sorry that happened," I said. And I meant it. Not sorry for my choices. Sorry that they destroyed themselves, chasing something that was never theirs. "I just wanted you to know," Frank said, "that we were wrong. That you didn't owe us anything. That we should have been happy for you instead of resentful. I know it's too late. I know you're never going to forgive us. I just needed you to hear it. I thought about all of it. The demands, the harassment, the workplace humiliation, the flood that destroyed our home, the months of rebuilding, the way they'd twisted family into a weapon. I hope you find peace," I said finally, "but not with us. That door closed when you broke into our home and tried to destroy what we built." He nodded. Didn't argue. Didn't make excuses. Just nodded. "Take care of yourself, Frank," I said. He walked away. I watched him go. When I got home, Daisy was in the nursery. 7 months pregnant now, painting the walls a soft yellow while she hummed. "Ran into Frank at the store," I told her. Told her everything he'd said. She set down the paintbrush. "How do you feel?" "Like it's finally over," I said. "Really over." She nodded toward the room. "This is where Jenna wanted to live. The 3rd bedroom she thought she deserved. And now it's our daughter's room." "Exactly." She smiled. "The best revenge really is just living well." 2 months later, our daughter was born. Victoria cried when she held her granddaughter for the first time. We named her Claire. Frank sent a card when Claire was born. "Congratulations." Nothing else. We didn't respond. Sometimes I drive past my parents' old house. It looks smaller and more run down than I remember. I don't feel triumph when I see it. Don't feel vindication. Just feel grateful that I learned the lesson they taught, even if it wasn't the one they meant to teach. Family isn't about blood. It's about respect. It's about celebrating each other's happiness instead of resenting it. It's about protection instead of entitlement. Victoria taught me that. Daisy taught me that. They showed me what family actually means. And now I get to teach it to Claire in the house that was given with love and protected with boundaries. That's how you win. Not by destroying the people who tried to destroy you, but by living well. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.